Hey, this is Alex Ramsey, host of Night of the Batman, with the final film of my 5-day, 5 Batman fan film reviews. This one is called Law and Order Gotham. This one, let me just start out by saying this is made by a studio called Budgetless Productions, and it's very low budget, and but the dialogue makes up for it. The story is good, and just like overall the law talk and the dialogue is very good. So it makes up for the low budgetness and some of the cheesy effects in this. It's very similar to, if you've read the graphic novel in the series Gotham Central, where they have the police and just like the people that, like the police, the GCPD and all them, they have them in the forefront, and they have Batman very much in the background. This is very similar in setup to that. Also, it has Harvey Dent in it, and his character progression through this is very good. Sometimes the low budget and cheesy costumes, it has a lot of that, but it makes up for it with good actors and an engaging story. It also has DC villains, and they're very faithful to their comic counterparts, sometimes even drawing elements from the comics, which I thought was really cool. So let me just start out with the summary. So it opens up on two women talking about just about Matt Hagen and what movie he's being in, and then mentioning Bruce. It's just like, I thought that was interesting that they were talking about Matt Hagen. If you guys don't know who that is, that's Clayface. I thought that was pretty cool that they would mention that, and that made me know right away that the guys that made this knew what they were doing, even if it was low budget, that they had a love for this character and that this was going to be a good fan film. That right out the gate, that helped me realize that. So they run to this dead body, and that's when the investigation starts with Detective Bullock. And let me say that while Bullock in this isn't exactly on character for me, I did think that the guy who did it did a good job. It's just the characterization just seems kind of off to me. But I'll get to that later. So after that, they talk about like what the possible causes of death may be, and they on the way they talk to Commissioner Gordon and interview different people, interview the roommate, and they interview the ventriloquist before that, and the Penguin and all them, and find out that the ventriloquist is behind this. They arrest him. He actually kills somebody. Scarface kills somebody, but he actually did it. And they ended up arresting him, and this is when Harvey Dent comes into the story, and they're trying to decide whether they should give him like a normal life sentence in Blackgate or do like an insanity plea. Harvey's not all the way sure. He wants true justice for what happened. He thinks that Whisker is like he knows what he's doing more than he lets on. And so he has like an episode with the doll, and after that they have like an argument in like I think it's the judge's office, and he starts threatening him, and he does the coin flip thing to decide what he would do in that situation, which I thought was really cool. And just also sort of just like he steps into the darkness, which in ways this sort of foreshadows that he has something much darker lurking underneath his psyche that he's trying to hide and keep out of the light, basically. And I thought that was really cool. They also meet with Falcone earlier and interview him, which I didn't catch it the first time because I hadn't read Long Halloween. Yeah, and they call him the Roman in this. They also call him Falcone, and I like how close he looks to his Long Halloween counterpart. They went down to even making the little scratch mark that Catwoman made during the story that went down in Long Halloween, which I thought was pretty cool. So after all that, and after Harvey is basically bullied into not making the decision to give him like a sane person's trial with saying that he'd get arrested and got a normal sentence, he goes and talks to Batman, shows up in his office, and they basically he says that he's got more people coming his way, and it sort of ends on that. Let me just, now that I've given you the summary, I guess I'll just go straight to the pros. Okay, the pros. Again, like I said before, I like that it's similar and set up to Gotham Central, with Batman remaining largely in the background. I like that about this. I like Harvey Dent and his character progression. Like, he's not, you don't see him turn into Two-Face, but you can logically see, like, that road, him start going down that road very soon. And this does, like I mentioned earlier, it does have a low budget, but for the most part still remains entertaining. The dialogue carries most of this. I like the references to other DC characters, like Matt Hagen, aka Clayface. Also, I like just they have numerous references in this to different artists of Batman and writers. Like they mentioned at one point, they make a reference to Norm Breyfogle and the naming of a street, calling it Breyfogle Road or something like that. And like I said, Carmine Falcone looks very similar to his comic counterpart, which I appreciated and liked. I also liked that how the Penguin looked. He looked like a lot like his comic counterpart, but also reminded me a little bit of an older version of what the '60s TV show version looked like of him, played by Burgess Meredith. One of the other things I like in this, I think this worked more to their advantage, is that for as low a budget as they're working on, Batman remains largely in the background. I think that helped out a lot. I think if they had more of Batman, it would become more obvious and just like more distracting how low budget this is. I don't think they had the proper budget, so they did what they could with it and wrote a story around that, which I like a lot. Ventriloquist makes an appearance in this too, which I thought was interesting. He seems to make appearances in a lot of fan films that I've reviewed so far, and this actor does okay for the most part. There are certain things that I'm not crazy about for him. Also relating to that, I like how in this Scarface's speech patterns are similar to the comics, where the ventriloquist isn't very good at being a ventriloquist, and he actually mispronounces words when he's talking in the Scarface voice. The guy who plays Harvey Dent also does a good job making it believable with the charm that Harvey was known for before the accident, and also in certain scenes showing a hidden dark side to him, which I liked a lot. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, makes a cool appearance before he was Scarecrow, or I don't know if that's actually right. It's never told whether he is or not. I also like that, similar to the comics, when Scarface isn't readily available to a ventriloquist, when he's put up in Blackgate, which is like the most ridiculous thing ever to put a dummy in the Blackgate, but anyway, he makes other puppets like Sacco, similar to the comics, in order to compensate for the absence of Scarface. There's, like I said before, there's numerous references of Batman writers and artists, and I like how Harvey Dent makes decisions similar to his comic counterpart by flipping a coin. And like I said before, it shows like his dark side underneath. And at the end, Harvey and Batman seem to be partners, similar to how it is in Long Halloween and other comics and media before that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the pros. Overall, it's really, even though it's low budget, the dialogue and story again are really good, so it sort of overshadows their low budget, and sometimes cheesy looking costumes. Okay, I guess I'll go to the cons. I wasn't a big fan of ventriloquist in this, to be honest. He wasn't. I just don't. It wasn't. They had the right idea. Like, I could see what they were trying to do with the ventriloquist, but the actor delivering his lines just wasn't that good of an actor. He did have his moments, though. He had a few moments in there where he actually was good, but for the most part, he was just sort of mediocre. There are certain scenes in this that sort of bugged me a little bit, where they had bad lighting and it was sometimes hard to see what was happening. I also, when I'm just related it back to me when I made the Crusader series, which was like a Batman thing when he was younger, I ran into a similar problem with just keeping Batman in the dark, and I came up with a solution. Just allow enough light in to where you can see the characters, but also where it's still dark and kind of where it's kind of spooky, where Batman can move around and sort of prowl like he likes to do. Yeah, a lot of this is just like, there's a lot of stuff in this that the characters look very similar to the comic book characters. Some of the low budget stuff is eye-rollingly bad and sort of hard to overlook. Just certain things you notice while watching it. Like, I'm trying to think of one, for instance. There's this one scene it looks okay, but it's Batman. He's diving over the moon, like his silhouette, and dives into a building, and it's obviously faked, but I mean, for the most part, there are a few of those in there, and also occasionally the actors' voices in this they're either not, they need to speak up more because sometimes their voices are either inaudible or the camera didn't pick up what they were saying, and that sometimes leaves me wondering what's going on, and I feel like I missed out on parts of the story. Like I said earlier, the whole low budget thing, it's not that noticeable if you're engaged in the story, which I was. And I liked how they made various references to the comics and also the comic book creators with the namings of the streets and stuff like that. It's sort of like an Easter egg for fans of Batman. I guess that's about it, really. I guess if I were to rate this, I would give it a 4 out of 5, and that's mainly just for some of the acting is really good, and also just the story and dialogue is really good. The low budget part of it is noticeable, but if you're a fan of the comics, I think you'll enjoy this a lot. Fans of the just like casual fans might also be fans of this. I mean, you can watch it and still enjoy it without knowing a lot about the comics, but it does help to know more about the comics to inform more of what you're watching in certain scenes. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. But yeah, this was really good, and even though it was low budget, they showed what they could do with that. They could make a really good story with that, and I think that helps a lot with making this a really good fan film, and it's a good one to finish on. Now, I haven't seen the Law and Order series, but I guess it seems sort of very similar in format to that too. It's like a meshing of Batman, obviously Batman like the DC Comics characters, and sort of giving him, I guess, a Law and Order feel. I don't really know though, since I don't really watch that show. So yeah, I hope you guys check that out. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. I love the support you're giving me, and I've overall really enjoyed doing these reviews, and just like doing these fan film reviews in general. This has been fun doing this event of 5 Days of Night, and it's actually, from what I've seen, it's starting to become pretty popular. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a second series of them and maybe make like more fan film reviews instead of just 5. I just sort of did 5 just like as a trial run, just to see if I made these, would anyone be interested in watching them, and you guys have shown your support, which I very much appreciate. So yeah, I'll probably make more of these. I mean, I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the feedback you guys give me. You guys are awesome, and you guys have an awesome day, and I guess that's it. Okay.